In this video, I'm going to share how we typically go about demo sessions with Healy. So this is going to be a general outline. This is not really there's not really a right or wrong way to go about it, but this is just the way that's made sense for us so far. And I also recommend grabbing a pen and paper or somewhere to write some notes because there is going to be a lot of information shared. I'll also share my general outline as well, so you can also see a little bit, so you can work off of something. So, yeah, let's get started. So, typically, I break this session into two different parts. So, the first part is sharing about the frequency and like the background and history behind it. We like to share that. We share how it works and how you can use it. And that's where we share with these apps that you can see the top row. That's kind of what we're showing them with how it works, how you can use it. And then the second part is the mini session. So that's where we're in this app and we do the aura analysis down here. And that's essentially how we break it down. But let's start with the first part so I can share with you the background and how it works and how you can use it. So you don't have to know the history or really, anything of frequencies. I'm sure it helps because I'll have questions, but you don't need to know the history. So I'm not going to share too much about that right now. That's just how we do it. And the way we share how it works and how you can use it is breaking that down into two parts because there are two basic ways that you can use the device. So the first one is going to be with this pink app on the left. This is where you can see all the programs. This is where we'll show them all the program groups. And this is where you just use the wristbands. So this is the most basic way you can actually use Healy, is where you go into the pink app and you pick a program and you decide to run a program. And so you can start your program. And what it does is transfers the frequencies and the software and all the frequencies over into the actual hardware device. And from there, you can exit out the app, turn off the Bluetooth. You're good. You just, clip your device on and you're good to go. But we do like to show them some of the groups and explain, any stories or experiences that we've had with them. And so we'll swipe through and share a little bit about it. And we also share about what IMF means. So at the top right corner, you can see most of these programs have the letters IMF. And what that means is individualized microcurrent frequencies. And what that does is whenever you go into a program, let's say sleep. So whenever I go in here and I start the program, it's actually the first 9 minutes is where the device is actually analyzing your body. It's analyzing the frequencies coming from your body and actuating to it and analyzing and seeing where, which frequencies that your body needs. Because each of these programs carry hundreds of programs within them. So all of them have a certain amount of frequencies, and of course our bodies we don't need all, hundreds and hundreds of them. We just need a select few. So it picks from a pool of those frequencies, those first 9 minutes, and then for the rest of the program, it's sending you everything that you need, and yeah, you're good to go from there. And so we'll continue to share about how our experiences have been, things with like our skin, if we were working with like skin or acne, or hormones have been a really huge one. But we just kind of share a little bit about our experiences, and we also like to keep it engaging, and we ask them what programs, if any, can they see themselves using, or programs that spark their interest, or anything like that, if there's anything that's interesting or that they can see themselves using or would love to use. So we just go from there. And then after we're done showing this part, we go into the blue app. And this is where And so this is that second part of how we share about how it works. So that first part was just sharing about the programs and just the basic parts about it, how it's about microcurrents. It's sending your body microcurrents through the wristbands, and that's how your body is able to receive these customized frequencies. And then whenever we go into the Blue app here, this is where we share with them where all the scanning and the analysis all comes from. And I also want to just touch on this real quick. This Heal Advisor app, we also, depending on the time and interests that we kind of gauge from them, we like to show them this app because this app is really cool. It's like a digital catalog where you can look up any conditions, let's say insomnia. And it's going to suggest packages of programs. And so you click one of them and it's going to share with you a group of programs that would support you with that. And you can actually click on it and it's going to give you a little description. And it's cool because you can actually, let's say if you were actually using it for yourself or for the client, you could do this and you can actually start the program from there and it's going to bring you to this, to the actual program to start. So that's a fun thing we like to share with people. You can literally search in any kind of condition. But from there, we just briefly touch on that and then we go into the Blue app because that's where all the juicy, fun information comes from. That's where you do all the analysis and the scans and everything like that. So this is the Blue app here. And from here, I actually like to confirm their information because, like I said, I gathered their information before. So my example is Alex Smith, and I put their information in here. I don't really worry too much about this information with contact information or address or synchronizing them just because I won't be doing that. And from here, once I confirm everything's correct, I gather their vibration. So I'm going to go and let me make sure this app is closed. By the way, you want to make sure that the pink app is closed whenever you're working in between them because the Bluetooth needs to have a solid connection. And if it's connected to both of them, then it's not going to work correctly. So just keep that in mind because you might find yourself coming across that. Okay, so it's recording my vibration, and I always ask the client if I just ask them to take a couple deep breaths so we can all just get grounded and so it can really tap into their energy. And by the way, I don't think I mentioned this, but all of this is done over a distance. So I'm never really with them. I mean, I definitely do have shared like a little demo in person. But mostly it's online, and they don't even have to be on Zoom or anything with you. They could just be in a different part of the world, and you can still do exactly what I'm doing, and they don't even have to be like right there with you online on Zoom or anything like that. So that's a really cool part, to be able to do it from a distance and do it remotely. So from here, once you have all this information, you are good to go. And this is where I explain about the resonance analysis. And I explain about all the analysis modules. So essentially, with the analysis function, you really can use them to harmonize, honestly, anything. Like any of these modules you can use to harmonize your energy, your relationships, your car, a group, a business, house, plants, pets, anything. And so that's a really fun way that you can also share about that. But with the resonance analysis, that first module, essentially I explain that that's where it scans your body against all of those programs that we just showed them. And it scans against, in this case, 229 program groups. And it scans against all of them and shares with them the programs that most resonate with them. And it's going to share with them 5. And of course, the top one is going to be the most resonant. So sometimes it'll say 89%, and then it's going to go down to 76%, and so on. So, of course, that first program is going to be the most resonant. And from there, you can just dive deeper into those programs to see which specific program will support them the most. And so we don't really go too deep into that because we want to show them the aura analysis, and sometimes it just takes a long time to show them every single module and do all the scans. So that's why we just give a brief summary of how that works. Okay. And so the coaching analysis, the way we share that is how all of our mental and emotional issues are stored in a global information field, from which they can be retrieved. So Healy uses a principle of quantum entanglement to communicate with the information field and identifying the issues that are important to you at that time, and with the goal of harmonizing them. So how the coaching analysis works is, if you have any goals, any personal or business goals that you're working on, and you want to get really specific, you can go in here, type in your intention or your goal, and then from there they have categories where it can really range from anything from personal relationships or finances, career, goals, self-worth, so on. And you select from those databases, those categories, because they all carry specific frequencies to support you in all of those different areas. And you just select the ones that resonate with your goal. And then from there, Healy communicates with its quantum sensor, with the information field that you carry. And then it's going to share with you like a list of results according to your focus and the current life situation. And that's where it helps you find those subconscious patterns or mental blocks and things that you may need support with or to work on more. So it's really cool to use. You can really use this with anything. You can use it to harmonize relationships. I think I touched on this just now, but it's really cool. You can really use that to really get clear on your goals. And then here, lastly, I share with them the aura analysis. And so I always find their profile first because, of course, they're the ones who are doing the scan. And what I share about the aura analysis is that it's a feature where the quantum sensor, it can scan, of course, the frequencies of your chakras and help analyze where any blockages, limited beliefs, or patterns are present in your body and your energy centers. And it helps to harmonize and align our chakras so that you can move with more ease in those particular areas in your life. And it can also identify parental, ancestral, karmic, any past life traumas. And so that's why I always emphasize intention before scanning, especially with, aura analysis or honestly all of the analyze functions. I should have mentioned this in the beginning, but intention is very important, and especially with aura analysis, it's more important. So actually it's important in general, but you know what I mean. So from here, I always hold the intention and make sure that we're still like settled and good to go, and I hold space for them. So typically if you're in person, by the way, you would hold the Healy in your right hand. So they would hold the Healy in their right hand and just, sit there and have their intention. But since we're at a distance, I always hold the Healy in my left hand. And this goes for any kind of scanning or anything. I hold it in my left hand, or I just put it down and I hold space for them. And I really hold intention for them. And I also meant to mention that whenever you're scanning their field, in the beginning as like a client, when you're putting them in, make sure that you're holding the Healy. And I guess it doesn't really matter, but for me, since I know I hold it in my right hand when I scan to record my vibration, I just would put it in my left hand to record their vibration so I can hold space for them. So that's another important thing. But yeah, so from here, I hold the intention, And I also share with them too with how it figures out, the information with our chakras. It does scan. And I also share with them, it's going to show you the top 3 chakras that you need the most support with, or harmonizing, or aligning. And it's going to dive deeper into those 3 chakras. And also share with them any patterns or situations or beliefs or emotions, anything that may be getting stuck in those chakras. And it's going to share with you what may be going on in your field. So with that said, I'm going to record their aura, and I just put my intention. Which chakras or energy centers does, in this case, Alex, need the most support with? And then it'll show you this screen, and I click analysis. And so it shares with me, okay, so these are the 3 chakras that they need the most support with. And just so you know, you can actually select and deselect chakras that you want to really focus on. So for me, I was actually working on all of these chakras except for the ones that were selected last night. So it makes sense why these are really high. But from here, for time's sake, I'll deselect one of them, and I just let it focus on 2 chakras, and so we can really get clear on what may be coming up within these energy centers. And so from here, I hold my attention again to see what exactly do I need the most support with within these chakras. And then from there, it's pretty quick. It'll share with you. So each chakra, by the way, so these are cards. And each chakra is going to have 3 cards. So in this case, there's going to be 6 cards. And that's why I did deselect that other chakra, because then there would be 9 cards. And we're realizing that it just takes more time to go through. So it's just easier to be able to focus on maybe 1 or 2 things at a time. Okay, so from here, this is where we share with them their present state. That's what you want to look at. And maybe the desired state. I typically like to look at the very last sentence, because you'll notice that they all kind of repeat in a way depending on the theme of the chakra. But the very last sentence or 2 is going to share with you like an affirmation. And this affirmation, I'm just going to actually go over here. It's going to be in green whenever you click vibrate, and we share with them that these are the frequencies that they're going to be receiving. So these are the aligning frequencies that they can use to better harmonize their chakras. So I'm going to go back, and I just like them to scroll, and you can scroll with them. It just really depends on how much time you really have left. But we have the option, if you click actions, and you can share with them this PDF, and it's going to look like this. It's a little blurry for some reason, but it's typically not that blurry. But anyway, it'll share like this, and you can actually send it to their phone, or you can send it to an email. I recommend to actually screen record this for them, and I just kind of scroll through, and they can also pause in the video, but I do this for them because it's easier to read. And so from here, I explain, we go over these cards, and I like to ask, if there's anything that resonates. Sometimes information could be really personal, so just kind of having discernment and intuitively understanding what may be going on if they feel comfortable. But for the most part, we haven't had an issue, and people are really open, so we share. It's okay when we go over this, but I'll share the interpretation guide, because there's these numbers and letters at the top left, and they all have a meaning and a purpose. So essentially, and from the top of my head, I do understand most of it. So with this number, it's the resonance number. So 88% of it is in resonance with them. And so it's going to go down as we scroll. And what that means is just that that's just the resonance that they have with this theme. And so the number 3 is just a parameter from 1 to 10, and basically just means the level of effort it's going to take to transmute or release the energy, so they can better work through that issue. So 10 being the most effort and 1 being the least effort. And then the letter D is, so there's going to be different letters. You'll see different letters and numbers over here, and they all have different meanings. But essentially what this means is that it shares with you where this energy is being stuck, and if it's in your like mental or spiritual beliefs, or if it's emotional feelings not expressed, or physical, if it's just been well anchored and repressed in your body for a long time. So it shares with you all of that. And I actually have this guide that I like to share, so please screenshot this if you can. This is a really helpful guide that I like to share with them so they better understand what exactly we're looking at. Because I also don't go too into detail, especially in this mini session, because I'm showing them a lot and it's information overload. So I just share it with them and they can take a look and work on these things, outside of the session. But overall, after we look at everything, I click vibrate, and I just carry an intention that they receive all that resonates and that supports them. I have to reconnect to the Bluetooth, but after that, I just share that with them. And you can just vibrate those supporting frequencies and intentions into their field. And that's going to help them bring them closer into alignment, in this case, within their chakras. And so I know a lot of people ask how long to vibrate. I just typically stick with this default time, 1 minute and 20 seconds. And we just talk. And of course, throughout this session, we're engaging, seeing what resonates with them, and learning more about them. But ultimately, this is what we like to do. And of course, this doesn't give you a full spectrum of every single thing we go over, but I think this is a good general overview of what we do. And I also want to share with you what this is, what it's doing is, and so in the Blue app, anytime, especially if you're going to do something from a distance, you are sending the frequencies. You're not using those wristbands, of course. You're actually just sending them from the Healy, and it's sending scalar waves. So what that means is microcurrents, as we know, are, so how do I explain this? But basically microcurrents are functioning at the subatomic level of our bodies and within our cells, and they have been proving to increase ATP, cellular communication, assist with protein synthesis, all of those things like that. And what scalar waves does is it's working in the information field. And it doesn't decay over time and space. So that's why we are able to work with them from any part of the world, because it's working really similarly to how, our DNA carries information. So, and that information is what's going to be worked on and what's going to be harmonized and aligned within our cells. So, with vibrating these frequencies, it's really important to just be focused and intentional when you share this. And I always ask for them to be open to receive and to also stay hydrated. And if it's microcurrents or scalar waves, regardless, to stay hydrated, because that is really to help with the energy flow within their cells. And after that, we share about, the Facebook experience group page. People share more stories about that. We share about promotions going on. We send a follow-up email with helpful links and resources. And I highly recommend, if you wanted to learn more about, Healy device and everything, there's helpful videos in the Healy World Academy. And I'm going to link that in here. And I'm also going to share a link of the article, which is microcurrents versus scalar waves, because it goes more into the scientific detail. But yeah, overall, or I guess other than that, that's essentially what we do. I know it's a lot of information and I did a lot of talking, but you're going to get into your groove whenever you get it down. Like after the second time or third time for me, it started to make more sense. And it's not going to be the same every single time because everyone is different. But this is a general structure that you can go off of or you can use. Of course, you can make it your own. There's really no right or wrong, but yeah, that's essentially how we do the demo sessions. So I hope you enjoyed.